All right, welcome everybody who is watching. Thank you for joining me today. I am going to go through some of the housekeeping stuff that I want you to be aware of before we move forward. So I'm suggesting you find a nice quiet place with no distractions so you can really pay attention to what I have to say. You're going to mute your microphone or turn off your camera if you don't want to be seen. If you have questions, there's a chat feature that you can type to ask me questions and I'll address anything at the end. Turn off all your notifications so you're not distracted, and get a nice big glass of water, a notebook and pen, because there's a lot of information you're going to want to write down today. So the agenda, this is what today is going to look like. We are going to start with talking about accurate thinking and what accurate thinking is, what it means, and how to do it. We are going to chat about why changing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors is so challenging. What's going on? Why is it so hard? We are going to talk about the 4 R's. These represent 4 categories of our thoughts and how they are controlling us and where they're coming from. And we're going to get into what those are. And then we are going to finish this up with the 5 C's, which are breaking the cycle that you're stuck in through your thought patterns. Accurate thinking, let's start there. How many times have you heard, just think positive thoughts? Tell me, do you find that statement helpful? Because my guess is, and studies have shown, that is not good advice. When you are really down and out or have spent a lifetime of not even really experiencing what it's like to have a positive mindset, just think positive thoughts is not as easy as people can sometimes make you feel like it should be. And why is that? Well, 90% of your thoughts today are a repeat thought that you had yesterday. Today, you are spending 90% of your thoughts thinking the same thing you did yesterday. And if you had a bad day yesterday, you're just going to carry that forward, and today you're going to start remembering all those thoughts and having them all over again. So what does that mean? That means you have a very small window. 10% of your thoughts are going to be new. So are you choosing those thoughts wisely, or are you allowing them to choose you and decide what they should be? So I want you to really think about that. Positive thoughts, as I mentioned earlier, can really make you feel awful when a person says to you, hey, just have positive thoughts. It feels impossible. And the reason is, particularly when you are really stuck in the moment of a very heavy emotion, changing that thought in that moment can feel impossible. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why that feels that way. And really what's happening is when we're stuck in this negative thought pattern or inaccurate thought pattern, let's also talk about releasing positive thoughts and negative thoughts. Just release that from your consciousness. Let's get rid of that description. And let's talk about inaccurate thinking and accurate thinking. And we're going to break that down as we move through what that means. So your goal is to have accurate thinking. You don't want to worry about, is this negative, is this positive? I mean, there is room for that. But your goal is, am I thinking accurately in this moment? Okay. So here we're going to talk a little bit about the thought-emotion-behaviour cycle. Okay, so as you can see here from the side, pretty little chart, you have a thought, it generates an emotion, and then those two together propel you into a behavior or an action. And then your actions generate more thoughts, would create more emotions, and you're stuck in this cycle of thought, emotion, behavior. Your thought ignites an emotion, which directs your behavior. Okay, so that's the pattern that we're going on have here. But then what happens is that when that thought releases hormones in your body, when you have a thought, it releases the hormones, and the hormones generate the emotion. Then you are now running under that emotion, and that emotion, to stay fueling you, will grab and pull on to other thoughts that match how you feel. So this is an example of this is, let's say you get really mad one day. You're mad about anything. I don't care what it is. And then you continue to start thinking about everybody who's ever made you mad. Or not only do you find yourself thinking about all the people that have ever done you wrong in your life, you're also going to look for reason to be mad at people around you right in that moment, or things, you know. Do you ever find yourself getting angry at a computer or an inanimate object and taking your anger out on the vacuum cleaner like it's going to respond? You know, so we search for more thoughts and behaviors to match how we're already feeling. And this is a cycle that we need to jump into to break. So what happens over time, if you have spent months or years or a lifetime stuck in this negative pattern, what's happening is your body has now gotten used to this behavior. It is comfortable feeling panic, fear, anxiety, depression. All of these emotions that you've been living with for a long time have become your norm. And your body says, this is who we are and how we are. It feels stable and it's very predictable. And we as a human species love to feel safe and we love predictability. So the idea to change this behavior can actually feel unsafe. It will make you feel upset, okay? And this is the body's natural response. It doesn't like change. It fears change. And so change is uncertain, right? So it wants to keep you here. Every single human body works the same way. So please know this is natural and you are not alone. Every single one of us are struggling with breaking this cycle or controlling this cycle. Some are better than others because they have proper tools to do these things. So just know you're not alone in why you can't break your behaviors. It's the human condition. It's our bodies. It's evolution. So what you want to do here is you want to intervene in this cycle. You want to jump in somewhere, and typically it's great and best to start with your thoughts. And then that's where we're going to change those things. And when we change our thoughts, we change our emotions, which change our behaviors. Okay, so let's get into talking about the 4 R's, okay? So these are the thoughts that generate the heaviest emotions, okay? They typically are inaccurate thoughts when we're feeling these ways, okay? And each one of these categories will fester and manifest itself in the physical. If you don't address them in the mind, you will start to see them manifest physically as an ailment or perhaps a harmful behavior. And we'll get into more of that later. So what are the 4 R's? The first one is resentment. The second is revenge. Third is regret. And finally, rejection. And basically every thought that we have that's getting us trapped in a negative cycle or an inaccurate cycle falls under these 4 categories. So let's break them down. Resentment. Resentment, feelings of blame and jealousy. These are really kind of connected, okay? So what are some examples of a thought that we may have around resentment, feelings of blame and jealousy? So here's some examples. If you find yourself saying things like, why does everything good happen for everyone else and not for me? Or my life is this way because of what they did to me. Or nothing ever works out for me, or life isn't fair. You know, everybody has things that I want and can't have. You know, why we're constantly in a comparison mode. We're comparing ourselves to everybody else's lives and judging whether it's better or worse. Not a healthy thing to do. So blame and jealousy fall under resentment. And how does that physically manifest in our body? Things like fungus will manifest on the body when we can carry a considerable amount of resentment. So like athlete's foot, dandruff, any sort of fungus is related to resentment. You'll have high levels of yeast in your body if you are containing high levels of resentment, and you will get some weight gain based because you have too much yeast in your body. You also tend to, in the mind, be very self-critical of yourself, and resentment brings on procrastination tendencies. And actually, procrastination tendencies are linked to fungus. So if you have fungus on your body anywhere or in your body anywhere, you probably have a procrastination issue. And so just understanding the link between those two can help you understand that Sometimes our behaviors do feel out of our control, and they kind of are. There's something underneath that is taking control. So this is what I call the trigger test. So how do you know if your thoughts, or if you really are feeling resentment? How can I test that? How do I know? Here's a couple of statements for you that I'd like you to write down or just say out loud to yourself. I know how to live without resenting myself, or I know how to live without resenting others. Maybe it's mom, dad, best friend, husband, ex-husband, whatever it is, fill in the blanks. But if you say that sentence and you feel like it's not true, doesn't feel true to you, then you're likely really hanging on to some resentment issues. If you can say, I am in full control of my life, and believe that, you've probably released a lot of resentment and not have a lot. But if that is a difficult statement for you to say, you want to look at resentment. And I know how to move forward in my life is also, if you don't know how to move forward in your life, you are likely stuck in blame. You are likely holding on to your life not being where it is because of something else that happened to you. And you're putting the blame somewhere else instead of looking forward on what's possible for you. So how do you turn this around? Feels pretty yucky, right? Well, there's a positive to everything, okay? So how do we look at resentment and these beliefs and these feelings and all these things that come along with it? How do I turn this around? So when we look at the opposite side of resentment, what we're looking at is self-control. And what you can do is take back your power. When you stop blaming everybody else or anybody, even if it's just one person, you stop blaming them for the way your life is, you take back control and you can now begin to change your life. But if you were stuck in blame, you were never going to move forward and you were not going to take your power back. So you really want to release yourself and understand that blaming other people for the situation you're in is not helping you. It's not helping you today, okay? And this is how you're going to get your power back. And also comparison. If you're continually comparing yourself, I'm not as good as them. If you're doing that, I didn't get the job because they were better than me. You thought you were going to get a job and someone else got the promotion, and you're holding resentment and you're jealous because they have something you don't. Take your power back. What can you do for yourself? So I want to share with you a little story about a client I was working with, and she's divorced, and she started talking about her ex-husband and the experience that she went through her divorce. And it was extremely traumatic and very upsetting. And she was telling me about this conversation she's having with her ex-husband, and she's actually stood up and she's standing over me with her finger in my face, yelling at me as if I'm her husband. But she's just sharing with me how she's feeling and the experiences. But I sat there just overwhelmed with the amount of resentment this woman had for her husband. And I thought, wow, like, when did this happen? And this is fresh. Like, this had to happen this week. So I said, when did this experience happen for you? Because, this is really fresh. And she said, oh, it was 17 years ago. 17 years. She has been repeating that experience in her mind over and over and over and over and over again, as if it happened again in this moment. And when I explained to her that every time she thinks about her husband in that way, she's handing her power over to her husband. It's not in her hands anymore. She has now made everything about him, and he has all her power. So really learning to release resentment and take your power back. Stop giving it away. Stop giving your power away. Rejection. Okay, rejection is a really interesting one that I'm excited to talk to you about. So it's around feelings of worthiness. Typically, our worth and value transitions back to our childhood. So if you have had a traumatic childhood, any form of sexual, physical, emotional, verbal abuse, you are likely going to grow up as an adult with issues around feeling worthless. So what do those beliefs or words or thoughts in your mind look like? They're things like, I'm just not good enough. Nobody likes me. I hate myself. Why would anybody like me if I don't like myself? And people take advantage of me. I find that when we're desperate to be accepted and feel worthful or feel full of worth, we tend to kind of throw ourselves out there, and then we get taken advantage of because we just want attention. We just want confirmation. and it's not the right energy. Okay, so how does this physically manifest in your life? If you have lived a lifelong of feeling rejected or not worthy, you are likely going to have autoimmune diseases like arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, lots of different autoimmune diseases. You're going to be more susceptible to viruses. So you're probably somebody who gets sick all the time, always got a cold, always sick, okay? You are likely going to find yourself in unhealthy relationships. You're going to have difficulty in love, for sure. You will attract an unhealthy relationship or abusive partner, and you're likely going to suffer depression and anxiety. And these are all linked to your worth. So a trigger test, how do I know that I feel worthless? I want you to say some of these statements out loud and see how they feel for you. You know, I feel accepted. Others accept me. I accept me as I am. Or how about I have a healthy outlook on life or a healthy outlook on anything. If you can say those statements and feel the truth in those, then you're probably in a good place. But if you're saying these statements and feel that that is not true for you, then you likely have some rejection and worthiness issues that you want to address. So what's the turnaround here? How do I turn this around? So in terms of rejection, I take rejection and make it redirection. So what does that mean? Typically, or sometimes, mostly, one of those three, rejection is actually what you needed at that moment. So think of, you know, I really, really, really liked this guy, wanted to be in a relationship with him, but he didn't pick me. I wasn't good enough. But then later on in life, you do meet your perfect partner and realize that if you had gone that way, like, thank you, he rejected me because it wouldn't have been good. What about a job? You know, we're all out looking for a job and we get so excited about the perfect job and we can't wait for that interview. And we just think that nothing could be better than this job. And then we don't get the job. And we feel that we're just not good enough. When in fact, maybe in a month or 2 or weeks, whatever, the ideal and the even more perfect job is out there for you. It's a redirection that something better is out there for you. Now, you also want to look at your own rejection. So if you're saying, oh, this is the perfect job for me, but I'm not even going to bother applying for it because I'm not good enough, that's you rejecting you. You put that rejection on yourself. So really look at, am I rejecting myself? And that's why we're saying things like I feel accepted or I accept me. Those are hard for you to say. You're going to want to explore those and you're going to want to redirect those thoughts. You want to redirect them into what's working for me and what has worked out. And I encourage you to reflect on your life and think about things that you really wanted in life that are no longer, or you can see now that it was a good thing that didn't work out for you. Okay, and we all have samples of that in your life. So I really encourage you to explore that. Regret. Let's talk about regret. So these bring on feelings of guilt, shame, and lack. And I really love sliding lack in here because many of us sit in a lack mentality. You know, there just isn't enough money in the world. There just isn't enough homes. There just isn't enough time. That is a huge one. Money and time are our biggest lacks in life. We never have enough money and we never have enough time. And when we constantly focus on what we don't have, we just ask for more of what we don't have. So what do those beliefs look like? Or what do those thoughts look like in your head? So things like, I wish I never, and then fill in the blank. You know, there's many things that you can fill that blank in with. And I encourage you to start that. I wish I never, and start listing down all the things you wish you never did or wish you never had happen. And then the should haves, right? I should have done this and I wish I had done that, or I shouldn't have. You know, I should have gotten my degree. That really is around, you know, you feel guilty that you didn't finish it because you could have had a different life now, but it's also around lack, telling yourself that it's not possible to get now. Is that true? And we're going to get farther into that. So, and things like refusal to move forward, like I can't change my health. I can't change my job, or I could never leave my husband or wife. Because mostly when I talk to many women who are not happily married, their only reason for not leaving their husband is related to money. I don't have the money to leave, which is not true. That is a false, inaccurate thought, and we'll explore that later. And things like thoughts like, I don't have enough blank, and I should have done something about that. So let's say I don't have enough money today, I should have saved a year ago. Well, we can't go back in time, can we? So what can you do moving forward? So what are the physical manifestations of regret? Bacteria is highly attracted to feelings of shame, lack, and guilt. So you may end up with a lot of bacterial infections. Unbalanced emotions, just really feeling up and down and up and down and up and down, comes with regret, guilt, shame, and lack. You will also possibly have issues with your digestion and gut. Okay, you'll feel that stuff right in your stomach, you know, down in here, you're gonna have some issues with that. So a trigger test, how do I know if I'm in the energy of guilt, shame, or lack? I want you to say these statements. I know how to live without guilt. Does that feel true to you? Do you know how to live without guilt? I am enough, or I have enough. Or what about people respect me? So if you can say these statements and they feel true to you, then you're in a good place. But if you're finding you're saying these statements and they don't feel true, then you are stuck in regret energy. So what's the turnaround? How do we turn regret around to work for us? Okay, so regret, how to turn that around, it's really about trusting you, because if this is about things of the past, right? It's regret of things of the past, whether it's something you did 5 minutes ago or 25 years ago, we are focused on the past when we're dealing with regret. So what really happened is that we probably didn't trust ourselves or didn't honor our own guidance back in the time when we made a poor decision. And this is where we've ended up today. What this is really saying to you is that you need to honor your inner guidance. Honor yourself. When you want to do something or you do not want to do something, then you need to say yes or no. You need to honor that. And the more you begin to honor your own inner guidance, the less regret you will have, the more present you will be, and the more disconnected from the past you will find yourself. Revenge. This is a great one. So feelings of anger and improving self. So what does that look like in terms of thoughts in your minds? Things like, oh, I'll show them. I'm going to get even. I'm better than them is proving yourself. And if I had enough money, I put this one under revenge. If I had enough money, I would leave my husband. So that is a revengeful thought. When I get A, I am gonna get you in the back, okay? So we wanna really, when I have enough money, I would leave my husband. I want you to really understand that there's revenge energy behind there. And it's proving. You wanna be able to prove to your husband that I got enough money and now I'm gonna go out on my own and I don't need you. That's proving. So what are the physical manifestations under revenge energy? We get liver issues, kidney and bladder issues. Anger, when we are angry at the past, like regret, that old resentment is in the body, or anger is in the body. When we have fresh anger, like we're really mad at someone today or something that happened very recently, that will manifest in the bladder, more specifically, bladder infection. So if you have a bladder infection today, it's likely that you are really angry at someone very close to you in your life. Another thing that signifies, which I don't have written in here, is sinus issues. So sinus issues usually represent you're just really annoyed with someone in your life at the time. So what's the turnaround here? Oh, these are backwards. So revenge, I love to turn revenge into motivation, okay? So don't do things because it's good for them or it's going to screw them over. Do things because it's good for you. If you're the wife who wants to leave your husband, don't desire to leave him so you can screw him over. Desire to leave him so that you can have a better life and let him go with no regrets behind you, right? You don't want to take that stuff. You don't want to take resentment and regret with you as you move forward. You want to be better for you, not to get even with someone else. Does that make sense? And when I use an example, I'm going to use my husband because he's taught me a lot about this subject recently. He's very much an eye for an eye. And I want everyone to understand that statement. Eye for an eye is revenge. That is revenge. What if you took my eye and I just loved you in return? And that sounds hard maybe to get ourselves wrapped around, right? But the fact is that, you know, for example, a story, my husband was very frustrated because he was going to pick up an order from Canadian Tire and it wasn't working out and they couldn't help him. And the lady, so he started to get annoyed. He doesn't want to recognize that. But when he gets annoyed, he can get a little blunt. And so the customer service representative started to get saucy back with him. So he didn't see his own behavior. He only saw her behavior first. And then he says to me, and he does this all the time, I'm going to treat them the way they treat me. This is incredibly unhealthy because what happened is he got super pissed off, super angry at everybody for no reason. Then, of course, you start stubbing your toe and dropping things and nothing's working out. And then you bleed that anger all over and you just are in this place of frustration that did nobody good and your situation doesn't work out. What if you started treating that person the way you would want to be treated? So if you're dealing with someone who's being rude to you, don't be rude back. Treat them the way you want them to treat you. That's just the simplicity of this. I will treat you how I want to be treated, and how you treat me, not my business. That is the other person's business. If they're treating you like crap, they got their own things going on, and don't take it personal. It is not a personal attack on you. They don't know how to manage their own inner emotions. And what they need more than anything in the moment is to be treated with love and respect so that they can come out of where they're at. And that's the only way to get a person to start treating you better, is by loving and respecting them in a way that honors your own boundaries. Okay, it's key there, honoring your own boundaries. So the trigger test. So how do I know if I'm in a revengeful state? Well, I want you to say to yourself, close your eyes and say, I am happy for others' success. If it bothers you that other people are more successful than you, then you are in the revenge energy, you're in competitive energy, and you're proving yourself, or not proving yourself. You're quitting and giving up because you don't want to prove yourself. How about I know what I am capable of? Can you say that and really sink into it and feel the truth of that? How about I know how to achieve my goals in a healthy way? And that's not through revenge. A healthy way is through really keeping in your own lane, really doing it for you and honoring you. That is healthy. Okay, so we've discussed the thoughts and how we break them down and how we look at where and what we are actually thinking and where they're coming from and what they're related to. We've kind of covered all of those things, and this is going to help you understand when you start seeing these thoughts, where they're coming from, and you can categorize them and you can start breaking all of this stuff down. So the 5 C's, this is the actual process. This is where you're going to start taking steps. Okay, so the 5 C's is a process that works towards changing your thoughts, which change your emotions, which change your beliefs, which change your behaviors, which is ultimately what you want. So here's the thing, when your emotions are really high, and I'm going to give you an example. As I was creating this program, I tended to slip into each one of the 4 R's so that I could kind of get a feel of what that felt like and what kind of stumbling blocks people come to. So I know that when I was feeling really angry the other day and resentful, I knew my inner critic, my inner voice said to me, you don't have to be this way, you know what to do. And then the other voice in me said, I don't want to feel better. Now, high five to everybody here who hears that voice that says, I don't want to feel better. Okay, because that is very common. You're not alone when you're hearing that. I don't want to feel better, I just want to feel like this. Now remember, that's your body telling you, we don't want to change, this is what we're used to, this is safe and predictable. Even though it feels like crap, it's safe and predictable, and that's all your body wants. So remember that those thoughts that want to keep you feeling crappy are your body trying to keep you safe. So once you've kind of settled yourself even just a little bit, once you've taken a couple of breaths, calmed your energy down a bit, maybe it takes a day or 2 before you actually can bring yourself down to a point where you can now dissect these thoughts. You're going to go in and say, what is it that happened to me? What triggered me? What was it? Was I feeling rejected? Was I resentful? What triggered me into where I'm at now? And then you can start to dissect them through this process that we're going to go through. And I want everybody to know, this is a practice. You don't just do it once and have solved all your problems and boop, 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 it's over. And don't look at this as a quick fix either. This is a long-term practice and process to get to where you want to be. It's part of your maintenance. I want you to think of it like that. I'm maintaining myself, I'm healing myself, I'm working on myself, and I'm building a relationship with myself. And I want you to know that at the beginning, this will feel off and even annoying. You'll be like, I don't want to look at this and I don't want to change it. That's your body, your subconscious going, don't do this, it's scary, it's new, I don't know what's happening, I don't want to feel different. Okay, so remember to separate that. The body doesn't want you to change, but your mind sure does. Your soul wants you to change. So push yourself past the points where you feel annoyed. So just that final reminder, remind yourself, change does not happen overnight, but it takes persistent and consistent steps forward. Okay, little bit every day. I tell everybody this, little chunk every day. Little chunk every day, okay, guys? A little bit of process is a win, okay? There doesn't have to be leaps and bounds. The tiniest process is a win. Okay, so let's start. Step number 1, catch it. Simple as that. Lovely little image here of a dream catcher. Instead of catching your dreams, I want you to think of catch your thoughts. You know, how do you catch your thoughts? So that's just paying attention. It's very simple. What's the thought that's dominating my head right now? What do I got going on right now? Catch that thought, okay? It's a fairly easy step. You're just gonna catch it. So the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take this thought and you're going to check it. And what I mean by that is you're gonna check it for this acronym called HOLES. So here it is. H is hunchify. And I know some of these aren't really words, but we're gonna go with it. So you're gonna ask yourself, am I guessing what I'm thinking right now? And typically when we think we know what other people are thinking, like, oh, I know that they judged me when I said that, or they don't think I'm good enough, or when we start projecting what we think other people are thinking, you are assuming, you're guessing, and you're trying to be psychic, and you're not psychic. So don't assume you know what other people are thinking, okay? Overlook. So there's your, back to hunchify, just a quick thing. Am I guessing? Do I know for sure? Am I guessing, okay? Secondly, am I overlooking something? You know, am I just taking a small piece of something bigger and just taking the pieces that are fitting how I feel? Can I expand the way I'm looking at this situation? What am I missing? Okay, that's what overlooking is. Lightifying. This is when you make it all about you. When you have just highlighted you and everything is about how you and everybody did this to me and I want this, and you know, all of these things where it's just centered around you, and the world doesn't revolve around you. Okay, so we have to kind of remember that. So extremifying, this one's an easy one because we do this a lot, and that's using extreme words like I never have any fun, or people always judge me, or everyone thinks I'm stupid, or no one likes me. Okay, these are extremifying things. And I'll break that down and show you an example of what that looks like. And then there's supersizing, which is making a mountain out of a molehill. Okay, we're over analyzing. We're taking a small situation that happened, and instead of bagging it and throwing it out, we sit there and we just let it fester, and we think all more on it and add more pieces to it, and we break it apart, and we just analyze it until it's just way bigger than it was in the first place. So we really want to check ourselves when we start down these thought patterns. Am I supersizing this? Am I overanalyzing? And am I overthinking something that doesn't require this much energy? Collect the evidence. So this is your third step. Okay, so what does that mean? You're going to collect the evidence to prove your thought. If nobody likes you, prove it. Collect the evidence to prove that nobody likes you. Or on the opposite side, look for some evidence where maybe one person likes you. Okay, so you're going to start collecting the evidence to support your thought. Then the final step, actually second final step, is challenge your thought. Okay, so you are going to dispute or prove your thought to be right. One thing that helps build a resilient mind is someone who can self-dispute their own thoughts. When you can take information, perhaps you think something's this way and you're offered a different perspective, if you can bring all that together and dispute it and see what resonates with you, you're in a good mindset. Typically, if a person believes something and they are not willing to hear any other perspective, they are not in a position to challenge themselves and they don't know how to. So this is going to help encourage you on how to challenge yourself. And I'm going to give you these steps. So there is asking yourself a couple of questions. So is this really true? Okay, so you think something in your thought, in your mind, probably extreme. Is it really true? Is it really, really true? Okay, and I'm gonna break that down for you, how to do that. And then we're gonna talk about, I wanna break this down. Ask yourself, is this my business, their business, or God's business? So an overactive mind, so I hear a lot of people who are very overactive in their mind, including I was myself as too. I would overthink everything. And my mind would be so busy with thoughts, I couldn't even sleep at night because I was just categorizing and bringing in the next thoughts, and it just never ended. And it was exhausting. It's mentally and physically exhausting when you overthink things. Typically, when you're overthinking things, these things are not your business. And what I mean by that, let me explain the three businesses. So there is my business, there is your business, and then there's God's business. So let's break those down. Imagine my business, beautiful high-rise building, or for me, maybe it's like a castle in Scotland, whatever my business looks like. Everything in there is my thoughts, my behaviors, my actions, and everything about me in my business. I have control over it. Nobody else does. It's my business. I have the lock and key. I get to come in and go and run it. Okay? That's the only control I have in life, is my business. Now let's talk about your business. So when I'm saying things like, she shouldn't have done that, or I didn't like the way she did that, she should have did it different. You know, when we start thinking about, they shouldn't have talked to me that way. You know, when we start thinking about how other people are behaving and we start to decide what we think they should have done instead, we are closed my business. I've taken my beautiful castle in Scotland, I've put on a out of order, and I've walked over to the castle beside me, and I'm standing out there with a picket sign telling them how to change their business and do it better. And while I'm doing that, nobody's running my business. Nobody. So really sink into that and understand that every thought you have about what someone else should or should not do is taking you out of your own life and your own business, and that is damaging you, and it's going to create an overactive mind. So the third business is God's business. So things like natural disasters, death. We could even go as far as war and famine. Things that are 100% completely out of your control. You can't control if a tornado is going to come and destroy a village. You can't just control a tsunami. But if you worry about those things, you have closed your business and you've gone over to God's castle and you're standing there with a picket sign, either saying, don't do that, God, or why are you doing that, or what's coming next. None of those things are your business. You don't have to worry about them. That's not your business. It's going to look after itself. God's going to look after that, okay? This includes death, okay? A lot of us are terrified of death. We think about death all the time, which blows my mind because you are born and you die. Those are the only two things you know for sure in life. So to fear death or avoid death or not want to think about it or think about it negatively is not doing you any favors. That's God's business. Just live your life. Don't go over to God's castle asking and begging to know when you're going to die, why you died, or why someone you love died. None of that is your business, okay? So bring yourself back. What is my business? Well, in this case about death, I am alive today. I'm alive. So what am I going to do about it? You know, you're sitting there in your giant office with your big window and the world is your oyster and could do anything you want. What are you going to do with your life? Okay? Another way to challenge is typically what happens when we're dealing with depression and anxiety. We tend to go to worst case scenario, right? We let the mind go. Something could happen. Now we just take it tenfold and we make it the worst case scenario. You know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. The whole economy, world economy has come to a halt. And some people are starting to think about what's going to happen in the few months down the road. I don't know what's going to happen. And then they start creating a worst case scenario. Probably going to lose my house, never going to find another job. I'm going to live in a cardboard box. Oh my God, it's going to be horrible. And we're worried about something that we've created in our mind. It's not true and it doesn't exist. Okay? What I challenge you to do when you're stuck in a worst case scenario, say, okay, there it is. There's the worst case scenario. Now, what's the best case scenario? Hey, what if they introduced mortgage forgiveness and we don't have to pay our mortgage anymore? What if jobs are abundant and we easily get back and the economy thrives and we have changes on our planet that we've been desperately wanting to implement for years, and now we have the opportunity to have those change come to life for us. There's a lot of opportunities that can happen for us that are good. So challenge yourself. When you're in worst case scenario, I want you to bring it and now force yourself to create what a best case scenario can look like. And you will get better and better and better at that the more you practice it. Your best case scenario might only be, well, I don't die, you know, and let me tell you, that's a step, guys. That's a win. That's a win. So take those baby steps as wins. Okay, so change is the final step. So we've challenged the thought. We've seen another side of our thought. So now we're going to change it. So how do we do that? So we talked a little bit about worst case versus best case scenario. That's helping you create a whole new thought. Remember we talked about the 10% of new thoughts that you can have in a day? This is where that comes in. You're going to create that new thought through this worst case, best case scenario process. I really want to emphasize and point out that you watch out for buts and what ifs. I see people do this all the time. They go to best case scenario and they say, well, yeah, you know, it could all work out and we could all do fine, but what if it doesn't? And they do that. So they begin to create themselves a new, more accurate thought, and then they immediately kill it with a but or a what if. So I want you to highlight and be uber aware of your buts and what ifs and how that they are taking your accurate or more positive thinking and wiping it out. So no buts and no what ifs. Just end on the good thought, okay? Write them down. So affirmations are huge, but I am going to really be clear with you on affirmations because affirmations can be extremely dangerous as well. You have to know what you're doing when you're working with affirmations, okay? So A, you really want to make sure that your affirmation feels truthful to you and that it's worded on a focus of the outcome, not the problem. So let me show you here where it says, I never get sick. If that's an affirmation, I never get sick, I never get sick, I never get sick. What you're focused on is the word sick. That's all you're focused on. The universe, the way that we work as a human race and the entire, matrix that we're in just doesn't know negative to positive. It only knows the purpose or the focus. So in this statement, I never get sick, the focus is on the word sick. That's all that the universe hears. So you don't want to say, I never get sick. That should not be your affirmation. That is not a healthy affirmation. Well, so what is? I am healthy and well. That is a positive affirmation. That's putting the focus on what you desire as an outcome, not what you're avoiding. Do you see the difference? Okay. And we're going to talk about if it doesn't feel true. If it doesn't feel true to you, I am healthy and well, you can modify that to something like, every day I feel a little better. Okay, that feels a little softer and an easier affirmation. If you walk around saying, I never get sick, the next time you get sick, you're going to think your affirmations don't work. Well, that's because you were focused on the wrong thing. If you walk around saying, every day I get a little bit healthier, or every day I feel a little bit better, that's going to happen. That is going to happen. So really make sure they feel true for you and adjust it so it feels truer. So a statement like, I am strong. Well, that's a fairly vague statement. Do you mean strong physically? Like what, you want to be a little bit more accurate in what you're saying. So softening that, you may say those words, I am strong, but your subconscious and your body says, no, you're not. You never have been. Why do you think you are now? It's a lie to who we are. So how do we trick ourselves into now believing and becoming this strong person we want to be? Well, it's about baby steps. Remember, this I am strong is a lie and a shock to the system. But if I say something like every day I get stronger and stronger, that's a little easier to believe, isn't it? So soften your affirmations to really match where you were at today, and it'll feel better. And be as accurate as you can. So something like I am strong, as I said, is very vague. Do you mean I am strong physically? I am strong mentally? And you also want to be careful what you wish for. When you say things like, I can remember having kids, younger kids, and not having patience like I wanted to. And I remember just praying like all the time saying, I am patient. I want more patience in my life. I want more patience in my life. But what that did is the universe kept sending me issues and scenarios and situations and experiences where I had the opportunity to apply patience instead of showing me that I already am patient in other areas of my life. Okay, so that took me having to step back and say, okay, where in my life am I already patient? Well, I knew I was really patient when I was working with an animal. So I could find places in my life where I already felt patience, and then I'm going to build on those. So I am patient, fill in the blanks. Where are you already patient? And the more you affirm to yourself the good things you already know to be true about you, the more you are going to grow, the more you're going to settle into that energy, and then the more you can expand into something bigger. Okay? So start with what's true for you. So being accurate in this statement is I am strong, and a more accurate statement would be I have the mental strength I need to get through everything I encounter today. That feels more lighter and more true to your subconscious body than just to say I am strong. Your body will panic when you say that. But it goes, okay, I can work on having the mental strength just to get through everything today. I just have to get through today, okay? So let's go through some samples so I can break this down for you guys and you can get a better idea of how this works. So here's a belief up here that says, no one ever believes in me. This is a belief that's actually come up in a few clients recently. And so I'm going to show you how you use the holes process to get through this. So no one ever believes me. Let's break it down. So what are we doing here? Hunchifying. Am I guessing or reading the minds of other people and assume that they don't believe me? Yeah, because you can't read people's minds and you really don't know what they believe or don't believe. You really don't have that proof. Lightifying. So no one ever believes in me. Am I putting the responsibility of my happiness and my own self-worth in the arms of other people? Am I making other people responsible for believing in me? I think that's a pretty big ask from our friends and family. It's a really big ask. They may not even believe in themselves. How are they going to believe in you? So really, is it your responsibility to believe in yourself or is it someone else's? Okay. And then also we're extremifying here, using the words like no one and the word ever. Okay. So chances are that's not true. So let's move forward. So collect the evidence. Do people actually say those exact words to you? Do people call you up and say, hey, Zen Jen, I do not believe in you? No, nobody's actually ever said those words to me. Nobody's really ever said those words. So is it true? Well, not really, and what is my definition? It's a very vague statement. What does that mean? What am I specifically speaking about? Nobody believes in my ability to cook dinner or my ability to run a successful business or what? What is it I don't think people believe in? And is their definition of believing in me different than my definition of believing in me? Probably. Do I know their definition? Probably not, right? We're hunchifying. And then you got to ask yourself, why is it so important that I have people believe in me? Why is that so important to me? What am I missing here? What am I missing? Okay. So we're going to challenge it. Now we've collected some evidence and ways to look at that. We're going to challenge it. So let's look at this. Has anybody ever in my lifetime ever believed in me? Yeah, I can think of a few people throughout my life that maybe have supported me or encouraged me or believed in me. Okay, yeah. Can I prove what others are really thinking in their minds? No, I can't. I can guess, but I cannot prove what really is going on in their mind. I have no proof of that. And, the challenge here I'm asking myself, is it really their responsibility to believe in me? And if it's not their responsibility, whose responsibility is it to believe in me? So let's move forward. How do we change this thought? So we're going to start with some affirmations. We start breaking it down gently. So we say things like, okay, it's not other people's jobs to believe in me. Okay, you can start with that. It's not their job to believe in me. Then we can say things, well, yeah, there has been someone in my past. And if there hasn't been someone in your past that has ever believed in you, There's a chance you might find someone in your future. Life isn't over yet. So don't cut it out, because saying no one ever believes in me means you're never going to find that in the future. So is there a chance someone in my future is going to believe in me? Yes, there is. The possibility is real. So let's grab onto that. Then we take that even farther and we bring in that statement, I believe in me. I believe in me. Or someone believes in me. You know, these are lighter, they're true, because no one ever believes in me is an inaccurate thought. And you see that now by you breaking it all down like this, you can see that is an inaccurate thought. An inaccurate thought, now you may say, I believe in me, but then you might go, Jen, I really don't believe that I can do this. Okay, so let's take that belief, because it doesn't feel true. So what do I say? Soften the affirmation. So for example, maybe you say, every day I believe in myself a little more. That's a baby step. That's a tiny little win. And it could be something like, I don't believe I can get the dishes done today, but then you get the dishes done because I believe I can get them done. Okay, so remember, this very small steps are going to actually build and build and build and give you the results in the end. You know, things like, I want to get off medication and live a great life and have all my dreams come true, starts with believing in yourself. And if you can't believe that you're able to do that yet, then start every day, I believe a little bit more. Okay, so soften that affirmation. So this is what we've just done. We've done no one ever believes in me, and we've broken it down through, we've caught the thought, we catch the thought, we checked it for holes, we collected evidence, we challenged the evidence, and then we changed the thought. So here's another example. They should have treated me better. Now, many of us can say this about our parents when we're kids, or a boss, or a friend, or whoever, fill in the blank, right? But this is something we've all felt at some time, where we felt poorly treated, and they should have treated me better. Okay, and this can go back to my husband's issue with customer service not treating him well. So is this true? Let's break it down these ways. Is this a true statement? They should have treated me better. Well, I feel it's true. They should have treated me better. Okay. What about just because you feel they should have treated you better, does that actually mean they have to treat you better? Like, is that a law? Is that like a rule? You have to treat me better? No. They should have, or did they have to, right? Like let's look at that. You know, we might say, yes, my parents should have treated me better, but did they have to? They didn't really have to. So what that's doing is showing you that how people treat you is not in your control. It's not your control. They have free will, just like you have free will. They can treat you how they want to treat you. What matters here is how you respond to the treatment. So replacing the word like they should have with they could have is actually a truer statement, is it not? You know, based on breaking it down this way, nobody has to do anything, but they could have. Yeah, they could have treated you better. That's the truth. Yes, they could have. And that's a lighter statement, and it's accurate. They should have is not an accurate statement. They could have is. So let's talk about business. Whose business is this? When I say they should have treated me better, whose business am I in? I'm in their business, not mine. I've closed my sign. I've come over with my pickets, standing outside their business saying, you should have treated me better. You should have treated me better. We're in their business. Out of our control, nothing we can do about it, right? So remember, anytime you're putting they, he, she, them, all of those statements, or fill in a person's name, you are running their business, trying to run their business and not your own. So know that is a trigger that you are in the wrong business when you're worried about what other people are doing. And just a reminder, the only business you can control is yours. So then ask yourself, what could I have done better in that situation? What was my role? So while they were treating me crappy, did I respond? Am I happy with the way I responded? Because if you don't, if you're not happy, you're likely coming back saying they should have treated me better. But if you took the way they treated you and learned to respond in a way that's under your full control, then it doesn't matter how they treated you. Look at how you responded. Could I have responded better in this situation? And you'll often find that, yes, you could have. I could have walked away earlier. I could have just not let this bother me. I could have let it run off my back. You know, all of these things could have been different. So what's the change here? How do we bring in a new feeling around this? So we talked about, instead of they should have treated me better, becoming they could have treated me better. So that softens it right away, brings in a truer statement. I could have responded different. I really want you to think about that. Could you have responded different in this situation? And if you find yourself immediately going, nope, I challenge you to explore. Is that true? Is that true? Could you really not have changed the way you responded? How about this? I will. Now, if we're talking about the past, right? I could have responded different, but it's over. I can't change it now. No, you can't. But what you can do is respond different next time, right? Cycles repeat. So you probably have many people over a cycle of time treat you bad. So plan to respond different if it happens again. Don't expect it to happen again, but knowing that you're prepared and equipped to change the way you respond to a situation like this or a cycle you may be in, that is doable. You can do that. And an affirmation like, I will respond different next time, is going to help you get there, because then you're going to start to say to yourself, well, how am I going to respond different? What would I like to do? And then you're going to challenge yourself to become that person you really want to be. And then you can really up this, and completely opposite of they should have treated me better is people treat me well, or people treat me great, or everywhere I go, people treat me well. I'm respected. You know, these are great affirmations. But if you say people treat me well, and that doesn't feel true to you, then you need to soften that affirmation. So how about something like, I am teaching people how to treat me better, or I am learning how to set healthy boundaries. Because really about the way people treat you is about your own boundaries. So if you are not setting healthy boundaries, you're probably getting crapped on all the time. So how can I change that? Well, I'm going to practice every day setting healthy boundaries. And when we say these things, you're going to have opportunities come up to you, and you're going to have teachers come to you, and you're going to have aha moments, and you're going to learn what it means to set a healthy boundary through your own process of analyzing and breaking apart your thoughts and really changing the way you're thinking about things. Okay, so let's just do a quick little overview to wrap up. So you're going to notice the type of thoughts that consume you, okay? And you're going to look at the turnaround on that. You're really going to look and see, what is it that I can do different here? When we talked about through this, I hope you wrote it down, what your turnarounds are for all these. And remember, you've got to break into that cycle. You have to stop the cycle. You have to step into your thoughts and say, whoa, stop it. Let's go somewhere different, okay? You have to do that. If you don't take control of this, this will not change for you. Only you can step into your cycle and break your patterns. And when you do that, you're going to apply the 5 C's that we just went through today. You're going to apply that and change it. And I want you to take some time to create countering affirmations or thoughts to prepare yourself to dispute your inner critic. Because you've got this thought, you go through this process, you have this new belief, but I'm telling you in 5 minutes or 5 hours or in 5 days, you may find yourself back in that cycle thinking again. But if you've done the work previously, you've got the countering affirmation or the counter thought to bring in to diffuse the energy. So prepare this. You know, this is about preparation for you. So you want to prepare, what do I want? How can I soften this? So be prepared to dispute your own inner critic. And more than anything, guys, you need to get the support you need on your journey. If you are surrounded by difficult, negative, heavy people who do nothing but bring you down, this work will become incredibly challenging. It will take a bit more. Not saying it's impossible. You know, people have come risen from the ashes. So it is possible, and your success rate is based on your efforts. So, and it's also based on the support. So if you don't have anybody in your life to support you on this journey, then I'm your girl, because I believe in you. I believe that you can change this. I have helped many people change, including myself. These techniques work. And I'm willing and wanting to support you on your journey and help you get to where you need to go. So find your support, whether it's me, whether you join a Facebook group, whether you just have a best friend that you can maybe get together and say, let's do this together and become accountable for each other. It'll really help you. Okay. So what comes next? So what we've done today is we're going to be stirring up a lot of emotions, right? You're going to have all these thoughts. You're going to think, oh, so I've given you some tools to help move you through them. But there becomes a point where your beliefs actually hang on to your thoughts. So the next part is, after we start working on changing our thoughts, we really want to change the beliefs that are holding them there and where they started from. So it's about diving down to the origin of your thoughts. So when was the first time I ever had this thought? You know, nobody likes me. I think about that. Oh, I was like 2 years old and I heard my mom say she hated being a mom. That is the origin. And so that is what needs to heal. That moment in time is what needs to heal in order to really change where you're at today. Because that experience at 2-year-old, hearing your mom say, I wish I wasn't a mom, is living with you and controlling you and part of your thought cycle. It's that is holding it. And the idea of changing it can be scary, but going back and knowing that you are worthy and how to rebuild that without having your mom there to do that is possible, but you need the support and the help to do that. Again, that's where I come in, or find yourself, whatever it is you resonate with, in order to help you through these issues. So I really wanted to share with you guys some of the resources that this information came from. So Byron Katie is an incredible, I don't even know what she is, but she's incredible. She writes some books and she does workshops and all kinds of amazing things and helped millions of people with incredible things. Her book that I love is called The Work. And the statement, is it true? That comes from Byron Katie. And she navigates you through the fact that a lot of your thoughts are not true. They're not even true to begin with. And when we start eliminating the untrue thoughts, we get a lot more clarity. Okay, the Superpowered is Renee Jane, and she actually specializes in teenage anxiety. And the 5 C's that we talked about today have come from her. So if you're interested in learning deeper into those stuff, the book is called Superpowered. Get it, read it, and learn deeper meanings behind those, and you can apply them to your life. And then I myself am a trained certified theta healer. I have 10 certifications in this modality, and a lot of the information about rejection, regret, revenge, and resentment, all is through Vienna's Theta Healing, Vienna Stable, the Theta Healing modality. So if you are interested in exploring more detailed of these things through some reading, these are some really great books and resources. So thank you very much for attending. I am really happy to have people here. I really am curious to know how this stuff works for you guys. So as you're working through these things, send me an email. Let me know how it's working. Where are you stumped? What can't you move past? I can help you with all those things. And I'm offering $50 off. Those that watch this webinar will get an email for $50 off a one-on-one session with me, and we'll get clear on your thoughts. You're going to understand the origin of your thought. Where did this start? And sometimes, little side note, the origins of our thoughts aren't even from this life. They're in our genetic memories. So sometimes we are having thoughts that came from our mother. Our mother had those thoughts, and they're embedded in us, but they're not true to our life today. They may have been true to moms, but not to me today. Then identifying your triggers, what is it that's setting you off? And then just changing the beliefs and really moving forward with new concepts, perceptions, and ideas. So thank you very much for attending. And I hope you got a lot out of this. Feel free to email me, let me know, give me some feedback, and enjoy. Have a great day, guys. Take care.